All right, everyone. So we previously did a video on malware detection. So there was a video on, making sure you could come in and hunt for a specific piece of malware. Um, and that's, what we have in this malware policy where we added the checksum of the malware and then went and searched for it using a policy-centric approach and gathering where that malware could be located across all of my images. But really, that comes down to how do I validate that the malware scanner is working underneath the hood? And it all comes back to having that set correctly within your configuration file. And when I say that, I'm talking about your values.yaml. By default, as we'll see here, malware scanning is not enabled. So you need to come down here to this section, which is if you pull the default values file, it'll be on line 383 as of release 4.5.0. This values file may change by the time you look at this video, or if you're using your own custom values file, you can pull this block into that, right? So this is what we're looking for here. So on line 383, you would just uncomment all of these like all these lines right here. And then that would allow it to do two things. One, enable the CLAM AV scanner, and then also to perform vulnerability updates in sync with or malware, feed updates, I should say, in sync with your vulnerability feeds, right? So it by default do it about every 4 hours. So that way you have the updated signatures in your deployment. And then if you want to validate that it's running, you could scan, let me see if I have an iCar image in here. I know I have a real malware image. So here we have an image that has malware in it. This is one that's just hosted on Docker Hub. There's one that I analyze to make sure it's running. So you could come in here and look at that. So we could go to the SBOM tab under our image analysis and then select malware. And then you could look at the two signatures we picked up here. And if you don't have malware enabled, what you'll see is 0 findings, and the UI will actually tell you malware scanning is not enabled on your deployment, at which point you would come back here, uncomment these 4 lines, and then you would do a Helm upgrade on your deployment, right? So following all your deployment best practices in your organization, you just uncomment these in your values, enable these, and then upgrade that deployment. So then your malware scanning would take effect.